I'm Steve from Gardner White Furniture, along with my daughter Rachel.
On behalf of all of us at Gardner White, we are proud to present Fox 2's Tribute to Our Troops in a commercial-free format.
This is the 10th year for this special program honoring the men and women who serve our country each and every day.
Our family salutes those who serve and their loved ones.
We now present Fox 2's Tribute to Our Troops.
Hello, I'm Sherry Margolis. Welcome to Fox 2's Tribute to Our Troops. For the last 10 years, our news team has brought you the special program. Our goal has been to honor the brave men and women of Michigan who have dedicated their lives to serving our country. When I say military service, you probably think of images like uniformed troops, guns, tanks, combat. But now consider a different image. The faces of sacrifice and service may be more familiar than you realize. Veterans, they look just like any of us. They can be your postal worker or your kid's coach. Heroes walk among us every day, and each one has a story. The deadliest war in history. At least 50 million people died in World War II. Some estimates take that number 10 to 20 million higher. The 6-year war was brutal, marked by the genocide of 6 million Jews by Adolf Hitler, many of them in concentration camps like Dachau.
Dachau. I saw Dachau 2 days after the Americans liberated the camp. Everything you've ever seen or heard about Dachau, double it.
600,000 people from Michigan fought in the war that changed the world.
I consider they were heroes because they came at a time when this country needed people.
This is the best country in the world, and somebody had to pay the price.
There's a movement underway in Metro Detroit right now. The descendants of the heroes fighting to preserve their memory, their stories.
They saved the world. We would not have the world and the opportunities that we have today had it not been for the sacrifices they made.
Passionate volunteers are raising funds to build the Michigan World War II Legacy Memorial. The memorial will feature statues representing the forces on land, sea, and air, and the civilians who battled on the home front. There will be points of tribute to Michigan's role as the arsenal of democracy.
That we really want families to come here. It's an interactive memorial. It's going to be an ice skating rink in the winter. It's a place for picnics and soccer games in the summer. It's a place to celebrate the freedoms we have.
This is a project for all of us.
That's it.
We've
We're
got
all
to
here.
support this. Okay, all of us that are still here must support this. We must make it a volition. It must be where people come by here on Woodward Avenue, see this side, and say, that's World War II. That's what it was all about.
They still need donations to make the memorial a reality. You can donate on our website. We have a link at myfoxdetroit.com. A Wixom man has a unique way of thanking veterans for their service. You might call him a model citizen. Robin Schwartz shows us the incredible gift that he's given to dozens who've served.
He files, he fidgets, and sometimes gets frustrated.
Because if it doesn't fit just right, it perturbs me.
All of this painstaking, intricate work is a labor of love for Sean Tracy of Wixom, a former delivery truck driver and founder of the Veterans Model Project.
I have a deep respect and admiration for veterans. I love building models, so I just put the two together. This is pretty good.
It all started about 3 years ago when Sean built his first model for a veteran, this B-24 Liberator for late TV and radio weathercaster Sonny Elliott, who was shot down over Germany during World War II. He was asked to build it as a birthday surprise.
And when he walked in, all he could do was just stand there and point and say, "That's my plane. That's my plane."
After that, Sean started building and presenting models to any veteran he'd meet, total strangers, people he'd strike up a conversation with, and veterans at a retirement community where he volunteers.
Most veterans are very humble about what they did. They don't consider what they did anything extraordinary. Well, it was extraordinary what they did, and they're extremely thankful to get a model. They're just, I've had a couple of guys cry. I mean, it just, you know, it's quite rewarding.
And it's time consuming. It can take anywhere from 20 to 300 hours to build a single model.
So you have to build it just right and make sure you glue it just right where nothing shows. It looks completely seamless and flawless.
Sean has spent thousands of dollars out of his own pocket doing this. And the most remarkable thing, he asks for nothing in return.
My way of thinking is the veteran paid for it when they wore the uniform. It's been prepaid. That's my way of thanking them for their service.
So far, Sean has built about 150 of these models for veterans, but it doesn't end there. He also loves learning every little detail about the people he makes them for. People like Bill Carruth of Royal Oak, who served in the Air Force in World War II.
This is a B-29. At that time, it was referred to as a very heavy bomber. It has 12 50 caliber machine guns on it.
Carruth, now 88, was just 19 when he served as a technician in the Air Force. That's him on the bottom left. He was in charge of keeping those remote-controlled guns operating. He met Sean one day in a Kmart parking lot, and Sean built him this model, which has brought back memories.
We had a cannon and 2 50 caliber machine guns back here. It's nice to be remembered, and it's just a grand thing that he does.
And Sean wants to keep doing it, but he's running out of money. He has a hard time asking for help, so we'll do it for him. If you'd like to donate to the Veterans Model Project, you can make a contribution at any Fifth Third bank to keep this childhood hobby turned generous gift alive.
It's 10 till, so you have time. Jack, you need to sit down and finish your breakfast, pal. Oh, you got the frog thing in your hand?
That was a fight.
Let's take your coat off.
Aww.
Give me some lovin'. All right, little man. We'll see you later.
A young woman from Detroit is serving in Afghanistan when suddenly she finds herself fighting a very personal war.
This is not my hair, as fabulous as it is.
It is fabulous.
It's not my hair. I lost my hair, I lost my eyebrows, I lost all my body hair.
Beyond this beautiful exterior is a fierce fighter. 27-year-old Angela Norfleet is a petty officer in the Navy. After serving 5 months in Afghanistan, she makes a terrifying discovery.
And I felt a lump, and it was like I could actually feel it. And when I looked down, I could actually kind of see it, like poking out, protruding.
Suddenly, Angela is flying to Germany, where doctors deliver the news. She has breast cancer.
And he was like teary-eyed, like, oh my God, you're so young. And I was like, it's okay, like, we got it early, it's gonna be okay, let's just keep moving on, let's go with the treatment plan.
Far from the combat zone in the Middle East, Angela is now home in Detroit, battling a very different enemy in a very different way.
I coach soccer, I volunteer, like I just have to keep my mind off of it, because to me, if you think about it for too long, you just think about it and you dwell on what is when you need to be worried about what will be.
This is Fox 2 News.
Good.
4-year-old daughter, Casey, is unaware of the chemotherapy and the cancer. She's just happy Mommy's finally home.
She just knows that Mommy is sometimes sick and Mommy has to go to the doctor.
Angela is now stationed in Detroit, working with the Navy Reserves. She has tested positive for the breast cancer gene and will eventually undergo a preventive double mastectomy. In the meantime, she continues to serve her country as she fights for her life.
I'm very optimistic. Everything's going to be fine. I'm confident.
Yeah, she's tough, isn't she?
Yeah, she's a tough cookie. She's a tough cookie.
Hold on to that mic. I got the clip here, and then I'll clip you up. I just need you to count to 10.
1, 2, 3.
Kind of weak on his audio for some reason.
You want him to count to 10?
Close up on her to start.
3, 2.
Thank you so much, Mary Jane. And today we are here at Soulier Landscape Center, which is one of the older businesses in the Shores, but everybody comes here, and you've got to come here for fall. I mean,
They fought for our country, and now they're fighting to overcome injuries suffered in the line of duty. Wounded veterans literally riding to recovery. Fox News' Amy Lang has their inspirational story.
375 miles.
Welcome to GM, you guys.
Their ride to recovery started in Chicago. Their big finish right here in the Motor City. But their mode of transportation, not cars, not tanks. These veterans are all on bikes.
This is a recumbent bike. It helps with my spine problems that I have.
Daniel O'Dell rode all this way with Minnie Mouse and a Power Ranger strapped to his helmet, gifts from his 2 children who drove up from Kentucky with their mom to see him finish.
I did great job, Daddy.
It felt really good to be here.
This is my second ride. It's honestly life-changing.
It's what you'll hear from so many of these servicemen and women wounded in action.
I can honestly say that this organization has saved my life.
Andy Talley suffered a brain injury serving in Iraq. Adam Sylvanus Miller II served there as well.
I've enjoyed the camaraderie with the soldiers, meeting new people, new opportunities to see the amputees and people that basically have pushed beyond their limits, even when people pretty much say that they couldn't do it.
Like Jose Miranda, whose career in the Navy aboard an aircraft carrier ended 9 years ago when an F-18 ran over his legs.
It was very challenging, mentally draining, more than it was physically. I've never done something like this before. I hit a breaking point quite a few times.
The ride is physically exhausting, 375 miles, but the real challenge seems to be mental, with each serviceman and woman telling themselves and each other, you can do it.
Suicide bomber detonated himself near me and racked a bunch of shrapnel on the right side of my body and into my lungs, and I was a cyclist before and way faster. But my lungs are a little damaged now from leftover shrapnel, but I'm still on the bike going. Screaming and motivating.
Denny Salisbury served in Fallujah. His truck hit by an IED, shrapnel throughout his body, burns, and traumatic brain injury. But this cycling has helped him heal.
All of the physical injuries and then mental injuries, because war causes some serious trauma. And I went to a PTSD program, actually, and that's how I got introduced to the cycling program. And ever since then, I've just been absolutely addicted.
Ready? Pump your arms all the way down. Push with your toes. Big C's, big C's. Go, guys. There you go. Christian, come here. That's good. Be strong on it. Push down hard. If I'm coming from behind you on this side, you want to turn to your left. Protect the stop. You guys did good, okay? And that's how you have to learn how to protect the puck, right? And the same thing in your games. You want to protect the puck and use your body. All right, good job, guys. Good effort.
We often hear that servicemen and women have to fight 2 battles. The battle, of course, to survive a military conflict, and then the battle to return to a normal life when they come back home. When a service member returns to Michigan, they join thousands of other people struggling to find a job. But we found a lot of companies that want to hire and want to help.
For many, the hardest part of military service is getting out and looking for work. It's a battle they didn't expect to be fighting. Courtney Stamps served in Afghanistan in 2005 and 2006. He's had 15 years of reserve and active duty service, and now he says,
the negative part is you don't get no response back. That's the hard part as a veteran.
And Matthew Wiley tells me,
6 years military police experience. I did 2 tours in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan, came home and been bouncing around from job to job ever since 2011.
It's not that companies don't want to hire veterans. General Motors has a hiring initiative for them.
General Motors is looking for veterans because we understand that they come with some good skill sets that you don't really typically see in the civilian world. Dedication, management skills, the ability to work under pressure. So that's really what we're here looking for.
But many veterans don't get work because they can't transition properly to life outside of the military. military. Link Howard went through that, an Air Force veteran who served in Vietnam and then worked for over 3 decades as a civil servant, serving the country here at home.
One of the things that's important for people to understand is that there are certain jobs in the military that translate accurately into the civilian environment.
Today, he owns this company in Detroit. He hires a lot of people, but he looks for those that have the military mentality.
The military is familiar with terms like improvise, adapt, and overcome. How to take a situation and in any circumstances with all kinds of things going on around you to be able to adapt and to make that situation work well.
He says looking for work should be demonstrating that they have the skill that employers need. And Link Howard, whose company PowerLink employs hundreds of people working in many of the metro area's major corporations, says the military is a good training ground for life after.
If you were a procurement officer in the military, that translates to logistics. If you were in avionics in the Air Force, you could be an aircraft mechanic. Medics will be emergency medical technicians.
A basic rule in the military is to take orders, do what's told. That can be a plus when applying for work if presented properly. Military intelligence. Every enlisted man and woman knows what military intelligence is. Another skill that can help when impressing a job interviewer.
Intelligence is important to the military. We want to know enemy strength. We want to know their capabilities. Well, you want to know the same thing about a prospective employer. You want to know what that employer does. You want to know how they do it. You want to know how your knowledge, skills, and abilities fit into that. You want to know where you would be able to be a valuable team member to that organization. So go into an organization letting them know that you've done your research and you know everything that you possibly could find out about that organization.
There are many employers who believe hiring a vet can help their company grow while giving back to the United States and to those who served us.
We certainly salute our veterans, and we understand the significant contribution that they make to our nation.
And now they're ready to make a contribution to help boost the U.S. economy here at home.
The Vietnam War ended nearly 40 years ago, yet scars still remain for the nation and for a generation of veterans. Rich Luterman, himself an Air Force veteran from Operation Desert Storm, has the story of one man whose Army service during Vietnam led to a lifetime of honor and courage and a great appreciation for this country.
Duty, honor, country. The soldier, above all, prays for peace, for he must suffer and bear the deepest wounds and scars of war. General Douglas MacArthur said during a speech in 1962, just months before the beginning of large deployments of U.S. forces into the growing war of Southeast Asia, a war that would not be over for America until 1975. Vietnam veteran Tom Jabala grew up in St. Clair Shores during the 50s and 60s, graduating from South Lake High School in 1969 and was drafted into the Army soon after.
I just kind of figured, it was going to be Vietnam, and it was. So that was the first lottery I ever won, and it wasn't very lucky.
As an infantryman deep in the jungle, Tom had many close calls.
You're just scared. You're scared beyond anybody's imagination. And when it's close to you or one of your friends get hit, it's just like you say, it wakes you up. Wow, that could have been me. It wasn't me. Thank God it wasn't me. But I guess we had a job to do.
Thankfully, other memories are not as harsh.
Being in Da Nang and going in the South China Sea, I had never been in the ocean, and it was quite an experience for a kid. Like you say, a kid from Detroit.
One night in fierce battle, Tom helped a desperate unit under heavy fire. His orders?
Do whatever you think is right. So I did. I called in the gunships.
And saved American lives. After the war, Tom was eager to get on with life as a hard worker and a dedicated family man. Years later, however, another heroic battle was fought not by Tom, but by his oldest son.
Yeah, it's always hard. 28, and he passed. He had leukemia. And we all think our children are special. We're supposed to. We're supposed to love them no matter what. You know, I've been lucky. My kids are great, great kids.
Tom's love for his kids is what helps him every day of his life.
You still have to, you know, move on. You can't take that bullet for them. But you think about them, and you're just so proud, you know, that while he was here, he made an impression on people, and a good one at that.
As a loving father and grandfather, Tom was always reluctant to tell of his experiences during the war.
I haven't shared too much with my children on this, and one of them asked me why I was doing this interview, and I told him, my youngest, he's 33, he says, Dad, you haven't talked about this 4 or 5 times in 33 years, and now you're going to talk about it. I says, Eric, maybe, just maybe, you'll get something out of this, and maybe your children will someday. Will save a tape or something and show your children someday, and maybe they'll get something out of it. Maybe it'll be good for everyone.
So how should we thank a veteran, someone who fought for our precious freedom?
Now, you see people on the street, you see people shopping, you see an old fellow with a cap on that says Vietnam veteran, you always say hello. You always shake his hand, you always welcome him home.
Tom, we thank you for your service and welcome you home.
What happens when a loved one makes the ultimate sacrifice and doesn't come back? Private First Class Holly Magoo was the first and, as far as we know, the only Michigan woman killed during the war in Iraq. She was only 19 years old. That was almost 10 years ago, but for her family, the pain never goes away. I talked with Holly's mother, Paula, about how her life has changed.
That hole in your heart, it never goes away. It's been 10 years, I don't think it's ever going to go away.
Losing a child leaves a hole in your heart. Paula Love has been dealing with the loss and the pain for 10 years now. 10 years since her precious daughter Holly was killed when her vehicle was hit by a roadside bomb not far from Kirkuk.
She had no fear. And I believe she was destined to serve our country. And I think her path was already carved out for her.
Holly was a truck mechanic in Iraq, and she took her job very seriously. She was only 5'1", but she was very brave. She volunteered for every mission, and she felt she was making a real difference for the people in Iraq.
She told me, word for word, if anything was to happen to me, that I'm to remember that she was doing exactly what she wanted to do, and that she died doing something that she truly believed in.
The last time her family saw Holly was at Fort Hood, Texas, before she deployed to Iraq. They had a great visit and a lot of fun. Then it was time to say goodbye.
That last hug was probably the tightest, best hug ever. And I often ask myself, I wonder if I knew that it was going to be the last time, because I remember I didn't want to let go.
These days, Paula spends her free time thinking about her daughter, visiting her grave in Brownstown, planting a memorial garden at her cabin up north, or visiting a memorial to Holly outside Taylor City Hall.
I look at her girlfriends, her best friends when they were all growing up, and they are married and they have 2 kids, or they have 1 child, and I wonder, well, would I have a grandson or a granddaughter?
There's no way to know what Holly might have accomplished in these 10 years, or how her life might have turned out. Her mother has learned to live with the heartache, but also with the memory of Holly's spirit and strength.
I do have 19 years of awesome memories. She was my Spitfire kid. She was in a lot of trouble all the time. But she made a difference in this world. And I'm so grateful I had her.
kind of a testimonial. Let's keep it going.
Is he having a news or anything today, or?
Yeah, they chose to do something with another vendor, preferred vendor.
It's Mackenzie. How you doing?
That's a good point.
You're going to fold the wonton over itself and you pinch it together just to...
1 minute, don't use it or then you're throwing a roof.
You can see on SkyTracker radar the last batch of showers crossing southeast Michigan. Most of these will be out of here by 7 o'clock, but it's down to 36 tonight.
Tribute to our troops is a way to express our gratitude, a way to thank all of the servicemen and women and their families. Thank you for your sacrifice. We promise to do what we can to make sure no one ever forgets. Finally, a salute to the men and women from Michigan who have lost their lives serving our country.
It was very sad, a very sad moment in the United States. Changed the whole world. 9/11 changed the whole world.
These troops who you hailed as heroes while they're in uniform, they're still heroes long after they've taken those uniforms off.
He was proud to be there and to protect us, and he believed in what the United States is doing over there.
I'm a Michigan resident, I'm a Michigan veteran, and I'm proud of that today.
When the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, I was only 16, 17 years old, but I was old enough to know that I got to do something.
I mean, I felt a sense of pride because I'm a veteran.
For those who lay down their lives so we may stand, you are never forgotten.
If you see a veteran in need, give them help. Give them a hand up, you know, and thank them for their service.
I wasn't raised up to do things that I did over there.
The hardest part was coming home and him not being there.
Okay, I'm home. Are you happy?